The male advantage: utilize your weekends to get ahead. So I really wasn't going to do this video, but I got a lot of supportive comments as well as views on the video that you're seeing on screen now. So First Man put a video up and he was talking about the lack of competition. Now, it's really funny because I was actually thinking this same exact thing the other month. It occurred to me when I was in the tea room at my part-time job and I just walked past everyone, just scrolling through their phones as you do on your break. And I had a sticky beak, which, you can't help myself. But everyone was scrolling through like TikTok, looking at some stupid dance or some shit. And I think some of them may have been watching, one guy, he was watching this like gaming streamer or something, playing a video game. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should have their pen and paper out or a laptop out or whatever, studying or working on a business during your break at your part-time job. Obviously, it can be a bit hectic out there and you need to take a few minutes to just unwind. But you want to know what I use my phone for during my breaks, during my work shifts? I literally check out the latest finance updates. Yep, I'm sitting there in the tea room watching finance updates. So for every work break that exists, most people basically go nowhere, and I get a little bit further ahead because I use that time to basically learn. So today specifically, I was learning about Foot Locker. At the current moment, the stock seems very undervalued because, long story short, their cash flow forecast looked pretty promising for the coming years, or at least the upcoming year, sorry. And their balance sheet looked pretty good as well. They did put 500 million as a markup on their goodwill, which is kind of an iffy part of the balance sheet. But there's a bearish sentiment around it. So basically what I just said was finance talk for people think that the stock's going to go down or the business isn't going to do too well. Because Foot Locker is more an in-person thing, and ever since COVID, everything's sort of become e-commerce and online. But the financials don't really support that statement. Now guess how much I knew about Foot Locker at the start of today. I knew that their employees wore like basketball referee type shirts, and it was sort of like an athlete's foot. Athlete's Foot was sort of like a Nike store here in Australia. I don't know if it exists anywhere else. But now I know about Foot Locker's current stock price and how it's potentially undervalued, as well as a rough outline of their financial statements. And that's a lot more than what other people learnt today because they spent their time on entertainment. So I've just spent over a minute talking about one measly component of my weekend. But this weekend past, I worked 18 hours, which will be about $520 gross before tax, which is a lot more money than what most people are getting, for not working at all this weekend because they work 5 days a week and they reckon that's good enough. So, yeah, competition's a little bit weak, Additionally, I also spent a bit over 3.5 hours in the gym in total. I was there for about an hour and 40 minutes on Saturday. I did an upper sesh or maybe it was an hour and 50, sorry. And then today I spent an hour and 40 minutes doing legs. So that's a whole upper workout and a whole lower workout. What do you think other people are doing on their weekend? Oh, it's a weekend, no time for gym. They might, gym on a Saturday morning or something, but chances are that it'll be a very sort of light, easy session. I have gone Saturday mornings in the past when I was at uni, and I found that there wasn't really much intensity going on at the gym, so I imagine it's the same thing these days as well. I also took more than 22,000 steps over this weekend. Yeah, whatever, I'm going to leave that in. So yeah, I took 22,000 steps, a bit over this weekend. So that's a pretty active weekend. Now, obviously, most of that was at my Woolies shift. It's quite active. So I got another video that's going to pop up right now. And in it, I sort of mentioned more benefits of working a second job, but most of those benefits imply that both jobs are different. So, for example, if you had two jobs working 7 days a week, but they were both office jobs, well, yeah, money and all that, but one job you're very sedentary and the other job you're also very sedentary, whereas my lifestyle, or in my situation, I guess my lifestyle, but point is one of my jobs is sedentary and the other is active. And I basically elaborate on quite a few benefits, including fascia. Now, if you don't know what that is, you can Google it. I do briefly mention it in the other video. I am getting round to making a video on what it is. But for the purposes of this video, just know that more movement moves your fascia, which is very beneficial for you because if your fascia tightens up, it can cause impingements and mobility issues. And you don't want to really be that kind of really frail person who can't move in certain, I guess, directions. It's similar to how powerlifters will sort of lock up around certain movements, like the certain arch with their bench. They'll have trouble benching, or I guess a full range of motion if their back was flat on the bench. Now, fascia does play a part. There's other components to it, but the point is the extra movement is good for your fascia. So what I normally do on a Sunday, my usual routine is I get up at 5:50, have a shower, might have breakfast, the usual morning routine. I start work 7 or 4. When I rock up, I'll check the inventory that expires on this day, and I'll get rid of it, or the inventory that expired yesterday that didn't sell. I'll do all the temperature checks, make sure the fridges are working, and then I'll run a little stock fill report. So basically it's like any inventory gaps in the shelves, I'll plug it onto this report using the system that Woolworths has. And then from there, we'll start the day. I do a bunch of other tasks, but I'll move along, finish at 4, and directly after work, I'll go to the gym every Sunday night without fail. Now, usually my lower body 2 session falls on a Sunday night. So just think about that. It's a Sunday, you've worked 9 hours, and now you've got legs. Now, especially on today, it was quite hot. The gym was air conditioned, but sometimes no matter how air conditioned it is, it's still kind of stuffy inside, especially because where the squat rack is in my gym, you can probably see it on some of the TikToks and stuff. The main squat rack I use is like right next to like a window, and the heat sort of beams in from there, from the sun, especially obviously when it's a hot day. So yeah, it's quite stuffy in there. I was actually talking to a coworker today, and they were going to go to the gym, but then towards the end of the shift, they were like, "Oh, I'm tired and I'm going to go swimming." So that's one more gym session I'm ahead of someone who was thinking about going to the gym. If only you got points on the board for thinking about things. So after a gym session on a Sunday, what I usually do is I go home, I have a shower, and I shave. So I'll let my sort of, quote, beard grow out, and I'll shave it about 2 times a week, just because any more frequent, it just gets annoying. And if I leave it any longer, it tends to get too thick for the blade I use. So about 2 times a week, usually I have that as a Sunday and a Wednesday, which usually happens to be after my leg days. Don't know why, that's just how the routine is. So I spend a little bit longer in the shower than I normally do. And what I'll do after that is I'll usually cook my red meat for the week. At the moment, it's kangaroo, just because I'm trying to keep the calories a little bit lower, just because I'm sort of, I guess, reverse dieting out of my cut into a bulk. And I don't want to plug in the beef straight away, because I usually have about 150 grams of red meat in my lunch meal. And 150 grams of kangaroo has like 2 grams of fat, which is 18 calories, because 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. Whereas even lean beef is like 15 grams. So 15 grams of fat per 100 grams times 1.5, it's about like 23 or something. 23 times 9 is 207 calories. Now, this can actually make the difference between like a surplus or a bulk. Like 200 calories is a lot. That's like 50 grams of carbs. If you guys don't really know about the whole calorie thing, I think I briefly touch on it in this linked video. But if not, you can just Google it. Sorry, I really can't remember. I'm trying to think off my head, but I really can't remember if I elaborate in that video. Basically, if you eat more calories than you burn, you'll gain weight. If you burn more calories than you eat, you'll lose weight. There's various ways to find this out online, like they got various calculators and stuff, but the best way is trial and error. And a 200 to 300 calorie surplus is generally a good guideline. There's a lot of nuances behind it, but that's a very just blanket broad statement. And a calorie deficit of 500 calories, so you burn 500 calories more than you eat, or you eat 500 calories less than you burn, or you do a combination of increased exercise and decreased eating, that's usually a good guideline for losing weight too. Again, there are a lot of nuances. If you're leaner, probably go a bit less. If you're really overweight, you can probably get away with a higher deficit. But the point is 200 calories goes a long way for this stuff. So sorry, I keep going on side tangents, but I just got so many little tidbits of info in my head. I really just need like a full week off both of my jobs and gym and study and checking investments and just shit like that, so I can just pump out everything that's going on in my head and let you guys know, like teach you guys about it. But the point I'm getting at is that's my usual Sunday. I work 9 hours. I gym for almost 2 hours. I guess shaving is just grooming. I guess some guys don't really groom themselves, but I guess you could count that as well. And I do essentially my meal prep, because most of my diet involves foods that you don't really need to cook. Like I got tuna and potato salad, which is two things you don't really need any effort for. I buy the potato salad from Woolies. You can, some people make it themselves. Protein shake that takes like a couple of minutes to put the milk in and pat the powder in, weigh it, all that. I have sweet potato, which just takes a while to boil, but usually someone from home, usually mum, will do that. Now, I have done that myself in the past, but if mum is home, she will do it. I don't really like to, be mummy's boy relying on mum or anything, but other than that, I'm quite independent. Like I pay my own groceries and everything, which is something I'll elaborate in another video, I guess. And the reason I pay my own groceries is because my family doesn't eat what I eat. I'm like the only gym rat in my family. Otherwise, the food at home is readily available for me to eat, but it doesn't fit my macros, my macronutrients, or just my general taste preferences. Point is, I do my meal prep Sundays. So what do most people do on a Sunday? It's called a lazy Sunday. I don't know what that means. I think I used to, maybe. But yeah, in a way, Sunday's one of the busier days in my week, but they're all busy. I was meant to mention this earlier in the video, so I apologize, but I was going to give a brief rundown of who I am for those of you who are new and haven't really pieced it together. Like, I don't expect you to go through and watch all my videos. I kind of just wanted you guys to watch that other Male Advantage 2021 grind, or whatever I called it, video, because I saw a lot of you guys were really, really into the comments section. And Chris was mentioning in the video how he doesn't really have much proof. Well, I'm proof. So I'll give you a little really quick rundown of who I am. So I'm a 25-year-old male, single, obviously, no distractions. Although I did go into why I don't really talk to women in one of the comments I got from the comment I made on Chris's video. I'll probably post a screenshot right now. But yeah, 25-year-old single male. I work full-time as an accountant in an office. Obviously, we're not going to work out in the field, are we? I work part-time at the supermarket. My contracted shifts are 8 to 5 on a Saturday and 7 to 4 on a Sunday. So unless I actively take those days off, or we're shut for those days, which would imply that one of those days is a Christmas, because Woolies is only shut Easter Friday, which is not a Saturday or a Sunday, and it's shut on whatever day Christmas is. But if I don't proactively take days off myself, I will work every single day of the weekend for an entire year, for every year until I drop the contract. I've been a gym rat for quite a while. I technically started in 2013, but I didn't really make many gains and it was very on and off. See this video here on my other channel. It's a very long video, but there's a lot of timestamps in there, so please skip to the points that you think are relevant. I don't expect you to watch the whole thing, but the first part of the video gives a brief outline of my gym history, but essentially I've been in the whole gym game for several years now. Unfortunately, I look like I've only been lifting for about 3 or 4 proper years, but that's also elaborated in that video. But this is just a quick rundown of who I am. So I am a gym rat, just like Hamza and First Man, and just like hopefully you guys are as well, or if not, hopefully you'll become one of us. Alongside that, I'm pretty active on investments, so I kind of really only started in 2021. I technically started in 2017. I think I mentioned it in one of my other videos. Actually, I did. I'll link it here. How I kind of was in it in 2017, 2018, but I didn't really know what I was doing. But I spent a lot of my free time listening to various sources and kind of piecing together some information from there. It's kind of like the fitness industry. You watch a lot of different people, and once you get the gist of the things that keep getting repeated from credible sources, that's when you're like, okay, so this is what is actually true and this is what's bullshit. The fitness industry and finance industry are very intertwined like that. I think there's more bullcrap in the finance industry, to be honest. People promoting fake trading courses are probably more prevalent and worse than those promoting fake fitness stuff. Although I guess that's debatable. So basically, when I'm at work, if I'm not listening to music, I'll listen to investment stuff, which you may think it interferes with my work, but I've gotten pretty good at multitasking. I never used to be able to do that. So another skill I kind of learned in 2021. But I keep up to date with most of the things in the crypto market, although there's not really a lot going on right now. And I sort of know how to do the technical analysis, which is all the charts and stuff, but I found that fundamental analysis is not only is it more sustainable and easy and less time consuming, but in a way, it probably gives you a better indication of how the asset is going to perform. So technical analysis, I just mentioned it, it's the charts and shit. Fundamental analysis is like, oh, is Elon Musk going to tweet about it? But it's more so, oh, this project has just partnered with Amazon and Google and Apple. Well, then that's probably a good thing, hey? So I would invest in it if I saw that coming, because obviously that means the asset is going to grow a lot. So that's kind of what fundamental analysis is. It's kind of the whole broad market of the world. That wasn't really very good English, but it's basically just the easier way of assessing price. I do a similar thing with the stock market. On my Instagram, I'll kind of make posts here and there about the latest stock market news, just so I can look back on it in a month and I'm like, did I really do anything with that stock market knowledge? And I see the post, I'm like, oh yeah, that info there has influenced this decision I made a couple of weeks ago, and that decision has fed into this decision I made last week. So yeah, I keep up to date for the most part. Like, I don't have the trackers on 24/7 because I have a life outside of that, but I actually have to do my jobs, and I'm not going to be in the gym getting pumped and trying to keep track of the latest moves in foreign exchange, you know what I mean? So like, I'll keep up to date to a point where I think it's appropriate and the time I'm willing to invest. Geez, I'm so sorry I keep rambling. I have no idea how long this video is going to be because I haven't even gotten all the points I want out yet. But I'm a full-time accountant, a part-time retail worker at Woolworths. I keep up to date with investments. I'm a gym rat. I also study. So I got my bachelor's degree in accounting. I also have other educational qualifications, but for the purposes of this video, I have a bachelor's in accounting, and I'm doing my certified practicing accountant studies. I think it's called a certified public accountant in the United States, and I don't know what the qualification is elsewhere. I'm pretty sure CPA, it definitely covers New Zealand, but I think it might cover Singapore and a few other Asian countries as well. Point is, it's essentially like a master's, and it's like specifically for accounting, obviously. It's something that I will eventually have to do. Now, in my current role, it's not really required. However, it will be required in potential future roles. Like any accounting job you apply for these days, like even the junior accounting has like must have started CPA. That's not really a junior, that's like a intermediate, I'd argue. But it's a whole nother side tangent we could go on. But yeah, alongside those other four, I'm also pursuing post-tertiary education, which is like after uni. I mentioned in another video how most people just work, well, they work full-time and they call it a week, and I'm working on the weekends. But I also mentioned how most people just go to uni and get a degree and then that's it for their career. Like they'll work and stuff, but in terms of like formal education, that's it. They might do crappy little meaningless short courses at their work, which take like half an hour or a weekend to complete, but nothing this extreme. And lastly, I have two sort of businesses, I guess, which is this gamification of life channel you're watching and the Gainsification channel, which will also be plugged. So the idea is gamification of life. This shit's a game, boys. You put points on the board, you level up, the game becomes easier. But you have to put in the grind hours to level up, right? Don't know if you all played Pokemon as a kid, but like it's different now because it's like if you guys played Sword and Shield, they turned off the option to turn the XP share off, which means your Pokemon grow just way too quick and you've got the XP candies and all that. It's easy to level up. But when I started with Diamond and Pearl, if you wanted to level up your Pokemon, you had to just keep battling in the wild and battling trainers and getting your points up. So then you'd eventually be strong enough to beat Cynthia and her Garchomp. It's the same thing with this life. You level up by getting money, which makes it easier to purchase stuff like in-game currency, to buy stuff you want, perhaps even buy stuff to make the rest of your life easier, as is the case with investments. You level up by getting stronger at the gym, looking more aesthetic. It makes your life easier in various aspects, but one of them is your mindset, because it teaches you that brick by brick, building by building, you can build your empire. It really helped me look that way with study too. Like every half an hour of study really adds up. Every gym session really adds up. You don't really see much results after one, but after 100 you will. So I wanted the channel to be named something like that, and then Gainsification was just I just wanted it to be similar. Now, one of the commenters, I'm pretty sure he found me from that First Man video too. And, oh crap, sorry, I don't actually have the comment up here. I meant to screenshot it. And I'll have a look. Sorry, it turns out I actually do have a screenshot on my phone. The reason I couldn't grab it up was because I'm sitting in my car recording this, and it's currently 8:53 p.m. Now, where my car is parked has no reception because it's under a garage and I live in the middle of nowhere. So the only reception we get is basically in my house. You don't really get reception anywhere else. So that's why I couldn't pull it up, but luckily I screenshotted it. So this guy, I won't read the comment, I'll just post it here. So I really appreciate this comment. And it's basically talking about why I don't just fuse the two channels. So I originally had thought of that. The reason I didn't was because I've got little nuance tidbits that I intend on pushing out eventually in the future. So, just off the top of my head, one example is why I don't think it's a good idea to invest in ARK. So, ARK is a fund run by Cathie Wood, and she had pretty good returns in 2020. But I believe the reason she did was because all the money that the governments were pumping into the economy, all the tech and growth stocks just accelerated at a drastic rate, an unsustainable rate too. Now, in 2021, when everyone was, I find that a lot of people getting into the stock and investing space in 2021 because they realized that, well, we need other sources of income because our jobs really aren't as safe as we thought they were. So everyone was jumping on ARK because they had like a pretty good, off the top of my head, it was like 20 something percent. I could be wrong. Point is, it was pretty good. Now, the issue is things are looking bleak for ARK at the moment. A lot of the stocks inside that fund aren't performing very well. And if you actually look at the data, Teladoc insiders, so basically the higher up people at Teladoc, seem to be selling all of their shares and they're not actually buying them back, which would imply that they think that the stock's going to keep going down because otherwise they would be buying it if they thought it was going to go up, wouldn't they? The same sort of things happening with Square, but I don't actually know off the top of my head if Square is in Cathie Wood's portfolio, or if it is, I don't think it's too high up, but I could be wrong. The point is, Teladoc though is one of the biggest holdings in Cathie Woods' fund. I think it's second only behind Tesla. Again, I could be wrong, but all of those stocks aren't really looking too good right now, or at least most of them. Tesla's looking all right, but point is most of them aren't really looking too good. And another problem is if an individual like you or myself wants to buy stocks, we just use more of our own money that we earned from working. Now, if an ETF wants to buy more stocks, they need to free up capital, and they have to do this by selling shares of their other stocks in order to free up that capital. So in the case of ARK, they have to sell off their best performing assets to buy the stocks that are going down. Because ARK's whole idea is to buy stuff when they're getting cheap. The problem is everything seems to be getting cheap at the moment. So they're selling off, well, their better performing funds, which kind of can also be losers. So they're selling losers to buy bigger losers. So that's just one reason. Another reason is the fact that it's structured as an ETF. So an ETF has to sell units of their trust, which is how they get investors in. So there's a reason behind why that isn't going to do so well in the near future, I believe, but I've just spent a minute and a half trying to briefly summarize why I think it's not the best fund to invest in at the moment. So that's a little tidbit I would talk about in my gamification of life, which is about career, finance, investments, business, professional development, that kind of stuff. And then as for gamification, it's more so gym related focus. So there's obviously training and there'll be nutrition, there'll be fascia, injury prevention, rehabilitation, that kind of stuff. So another thing I would put on the gamification channel is why wheat germ and seaweed are probably two of the most underrated foods out there. So seaweed is very high in iodine. Now, iodine is a micronutrient that most people don't actually get because it's very rare in most foods. I use, not only do I have seaweed, but I have the iodized table salt, which has got a green packaging here in Australia. I have no idea what it's like in the States, but basically, I think in like the 1930s or something, the government realized there was a massive iodine deficiency going in the population. So they decided to fortify table salt with it because, you know, everyone tends to have salt with some of their foods. So that's one of the reasons why seaweed's good. Also, it's kind of satiating for how low calories it is. And that's a whole other gym benefit when you're cutting. Another thing is wheat germ oil. Wheat germ oil is very high in vitamin E. Now, all you have to do is just Google what foods have vitamin E in it, and you'll find that there's really not many. Like, I know there's sunflower seeds. You know, who really eats sunflower seeds? Spinach has some, and I know this because I eat spinach myself, but I eat spinach for a number of reasons, including the potassium and the vitamin K2, even though vitamin K1 is better for you. Like, well, it's not better for you, but it's more easily absorbed in the body. So vitamin K2 you get from your green plants, I believe. Like, I know you get K2 from non-animal products, and I know you get K1 from animal products. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but potassium too, there's a decent amount in spinach, but there's also a little bit of vitamin E, but you have to kind of eat a fair bit of spinach to get the recommended intake. And also vitamin E is fat soluble, so it's better off to have it with a fatty source of food. Now, spinach has like no calories in it, so it's not the best, whereas wheat germ oil is pretty high in fat. So are sunflower seeds. You'll find that a lot of nature's foods have the cofactors in them to help you help your body assimilate the nutrients more efficiently. But yeah, essentially most people probably aren't getting the vitamin E they need, so it's a good idea you literally just have like a shot of wheat germ oil, kind of like you're at the clubs. Even though I've had maybe 3 shots at the clubs in my whole life, and that's in the uni days when obviously all your people are going out and no one's really on that grind thing, and neither was I. But the point is, see how those two tidbits are drastically different. If someone saw that ARC video and was like, oh, this is like a finance channel, this will be good. And then the next video they see is, oh, eat these foods are good, with some cringy clickbait title like, best food ever. The government doesn't want you to know about this top secret food, or some cringy shit that YouTubers put up. Someone please shoot me if I ever do that. Point is, I think it might be a bit jarring for people if they follow me for one reason and then they, have another video unrelated pop up. But this guy has a very good point. Like, if I just fuse the two, it'd be like a one-stop shop for this stuff. So what I may do going forward is I might actually put all the gamification videos on this channel, and then I'll just keep the gym stuff on that channel as well and just see how it goes. But yeah, no, I really appreciate this guy's comment. Holy crap, I think I've spoken for like 7 or 8 minutes. I don't know, I'm recording this in split segments. So I know Chris records his in one sort of long shot. I think I've only seen one video where he cut away, and that was to check some quote of some sort. But I'm not as good of a speaker as him, and sometimes I stutter. I think I left a stutter in before. Sorry if it was annoying. I also stop recording when my train of thought stops, because I don't want to be going, or have like a 10-second pause trying to figure out, or say something like, so yeah, that kind of stuff. I also stop recording when I need to take a breath, because as you can imagine, it gets a little bit stuffy in the car, especially when you've been talking for almost an hour and you haven't really had much water to drink. But the point I was getting at was, yeah, I technically have 2 sort of businesses I'm trying to get off the ground. One, obviously, more life related outside of gym, and the other one's more so gym related. So yeah, that's a quick rundown of who I am. Sorry, I think that's the point I was getting at. I just go down so many rabbit holes. So yeah, full-time accountant, part-time Woolies worker. I'm pursuing essentially a master's education type thing. I'm a gym rat. I invest stuff, and I got businesses to work on. So I've got those 6 areas in my life that I'm slowly leveling up in. Now I mentioned it in another video. Like, I'm sorry if I keep plugging these videos, but if you are interested, they're there. If you don't really give a shit, then don't watch it. I'm not gonna waste your time. They all have timestamps too, so you can skip to the relevant point. I'm not gonna be one of those YouTubers who try to milk you for every second of watch time. God, I hate those guys. But yeah, slowly putting in the work in all of these areas. Now, I've got another note here to talk about how I stayed at Woolies. So obviously it's all fine and dandy to say, oh, I work 7 days a week, but how did I get to this point? This video's probably gone on long enough. This was meant to be a quick sort of video just to give you guys some content, like those guys of you who actually want to see more of this sort of male advantage stuff in the works. But I'll link another video I made. I believe I called it something like my 3-year plan for success. So it's basically talking about my goals for the next 3 years on how to keep leveling up. And one important area I wanted to mention was the more so weak competition thing. Like, I think that's meant to be the center around this video. I'm sorry if that hasn't really been the point. But I mentioned in that video how I think the upcoming generation is going to be a little bit weaker in terms of career progression. So I know Hamza and First Man talk about their businesses and stuff. And I know First Man was, I know, keep calling him First Man. I know Chris worked in like finance or something. And I think Hamza also worked in an office, but I don't know what his role was. I have a feeling it was like admin or marketing. I don't know, I could be completely wrong. But I'm different from them because my main forte is the whole career thing. Now, have you seen how much cringe TikToker influencers there are? Like, and how much money they're making? They really don't deserve this. It's such low effort crap they're putting out. And they're getting paid more than doctors who are saving people's lives and going to study for, 10, 15 years, however long. Like, it's just fucked. So that can tie into more weak competition. If you're one of those people who are studying, like I saw some of the comments, I don't think those guys have videos on their channel or anything. So they might be on the whole, I guess, career sort of path instead of business. Like, I guess I could kind of be both, but this is just to see where this goes. Like, even if this goes somewhere, I don't really intend on quitting my jobs, especially because that, I guess, could be my forte. Like, this is how I keep grinding. I'm going to document my days. You guys follow along, take some examples of my life, apply it to your situation, and help you out. But yeah, the point is the upcoming generation, they're seeing all these kids their age who are doing low effort crap and getting paid shitloads, like getting paid way too much. Like, even $1 is way too much for them. Even a cent is way too much. If anything, they should pay us for wasting our times watching their shit. But I mentioned how, why would any teenager or anyone in the upcoming generation bother with a career when they can just try their luck at that kind of crap? So that's weeding out some competition for my career as is. Like, why would you want to be an accountant or work in any money-related field? Because CPA will really broaden my career prospects. It might not just be accounting, although I do want to stick with it. Point is, in like 10 years when I've got all these qualifications and stuff, other people who would normally have like 5 years of experience at that point are being weeded out because they're seeing all this crap and on TikTok and how they could make money that way. So that's artificially weeding out some of the competition without me having to do anything. So for you guys who are watching, if you just keep studying, take unpaid internships just for experience, just get as much experience as you can, volunteer at local uni clubs, and you can get like, I guess, executive roles. So I was a secretary for a uni club, and it sounds a lot more prestigious than it was, but it's not a lie. And you do learn some skills that some employers at the graduate level will like. It'll put you ahead of your competition by putting in that little bit of extra work. I mentioned it in one of the other videos I plugged. I think it may have been my It's January 3rd and I'm 7 days ahead video. Sorry, I'm really not sure. I go on a lot of tangents in a lot of other videos. But the point is, the competition it seems to be getting weaker. Like, also on that latest First Man video, well, latest as in the one I watched last, I'm recording this on a Sunday night and I should literally be in bed right now, but I I don't have any gym planned tomorrow night, so I'm going to try and, at least if I can get all the recording done now, I can edit it into a video and have it out by Monday night, because Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday night I'm at gym, which will really eat into any time I have to do this thing. But First Man was mentioning how Mark Cuban was talking about how he was worried when he was getting set up that all his other competition would go into all these events and stuff. And then he realized they're not putting in this kind of work, so it was just a straight line to a billionaire. Same concept, not exactly billionaire, but there's just no one else doing this work. So, like I've already mentioned it before, but today I worked 9 hours, spent 2 hours at the gym. I didn't actually meal prep today because there's actually no meat in the supermarket at the moment. But even then, I've got more than enough to last me a couple of weeks, so I don't want to clog the freezer up too much. But instead of doing that, I'm sitting in my car recording this thing for my business. I just call it a business, like it hasn't actually generated any income yet. That comment I got from the guy reckons that I can potentially monetize this in the future. And I think one of the other comments was saying how he reckons this channel is going to go places. That's very uplifting. Like, thanks, guys. Like, I could talk for ages about how grateful I am, but the ultimate point is this is just more points on the board than I'm putting on right now. Like, all this recording is a lot more recording than what everyone else has done today. Like, I'm ahead on work, I'm ahead on money, I'm ahead on physical activity with my steps, I'm ahead on gym, and I'm ahead on side hustle, and I'm also ahead on investments. I haven't made any today, but like I said, I know a lot more about Foot Locker than I did a day ago, as well as what everyone else did. So I'm going to wrap this up soon. I don't know how much longer I'm going to talk, but it's 9:19 right now. I've got the windows open in my car because it was just getting too stuffy. There are mosquitoes flying in here. They're starting to bite me. It's going to leave a mark in the morning. I'm probably going to scratch it. It's going to hurt. Point is, I've got to wrap it up soon. And I'm going to go to bed. And I have work 8 till 4:30 tomorrow. And after that, I'm going to work on my side hustle again. Whereas most people are just going to work and just go through the motions. I mentioned before, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm going to go to the gym as well as work. Friday night, I will probably do some study, as my exam's not for 4 months, but again, I really need to start putting points on the board for that. But that's basically my week ahead planned. And then obviously on the weekend, I will be at Woolies again, and I'll probably gym Saturday night. And then next Sunday, I'll definitely be at Woolies again, and I'll probably gym that night too. And then I'll do my meal prep and shave and all that. Now, everyone else is my age is roughly, they're kind of working full-time as well. Some aren't, that's fine. But I feel that most people get a full-time job and, that's it. Our next step is marriage and kids and that outdated nonsense. I get every week, I get 2 work days ahead of the norm and the money that comes with that. I get about 4 or 5 gym sessions ahead of the norm. I get study sessions ahead, which will eventually lead into a post-tertiary qualification, which will allow me to leverage higher salaries and be more economically viable and more employable. And I will have a skill set that is in higher demand than most people who just went through uni and called it a career. I will be more aesthetic because I kept my gym routine. I don't know what pictures I'm going to post on at some point, but if I haven't posted a picture of what I look like right now with my shirt off, I will. I mentioned in another video why I don't actually have my face in these, but point is I want to just keep this separate from who I am at the moment. And throughout the whole week, I will work on this side hustle when I can, and I'll also keep up to date with investments. I can 100% assure you that nobody else is putting in this kind of work. And as you saw from the comment I made on Chris's latest video, no one was really doing it years ago either. And it's starting to really pay dividends now. Like I said, I'm in much better shape. I have better financial assets. Like I got the money to, I guess, invest in these stocks and shit, whereas most people are living paycheck to paycheck. The extra study I'm doing is making me more of a valuable candidate in the job market. Now, I mentioned in that video, on Chris's video, how when I was 21, I was putting in work, but it wasn't really showing. It's a similar thing with the study. Like most of my cohort is kind of on the same level in terms of career, but I'm going to leap way ahead in 5 years when I've got the extra education and the experience, when they'll just only have the experience. It's a bit of a grind right now. I do enjoy study though. Just chuck on some music and plot away. Point is, it's extra points on the board, and I'm just leveling up quicker. Now, for those of you who are still watching, I don't know how much of this you'll actually watch, but if you are still watching, can you please let me know of your, I guess, circumstances in the comments? I found that some of you guys are teenagers. Now, that's fantastic. You guys are getting started way earlier than I was. Like, again, in that gym transformation video thing, I sort of go on about a little bit of life stuff, but I didn't really have much of my shit together till I was like 21. The fact that you guys are watching this stuff now is great. Like, you're going to be so much further ahead at 25 than I am right now. And I'm quite ahead. The male advantage does exist. I am proof. Hamza is proof. Chris is proof. I'm sure there is other examples of proof in the comments section. But I don't see much proof in my everyday life, which is why we all need to band together as a community and keep inspiring each other and reminding each other that you put in the work, you'll get your dividends eventually. And remember, as Hamza says, do the work, especially when you don't feel like it. That is all.